Yes, guys, in today's video, we're going to talk about how to go from 22 to 10% body fat in 13 weeks. Now, my name's Hoyson JR. I help men get into elite level condition just like this, week in, week out. So today's video, we're going to talk about my client transformation case study, Kasir, how we did this. This is also an interesting one because he had 1 week where he went holiday, Pakistan, and he still made progress. So we're going to talk about how you can do this yourself, especially if you are the same body fat percentage. So the first thing, like before anything, and if you've watched my videos before, you're going to know what I'm going to say. Most of you, where you are, is because of your self-image. Yeah, it's not the training plan, it's not the ChatGPT diet plan that doesn't work, it's because of you. Yeah, for the longest of time, you've been in an endless cycle of I'm trying to get in shape. New year, January, I'm gonna get in shape for 2027. Yeah, I'm gonna cut off the girl. No, 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 shut the fuck up. Yeah, for the longest of time, you've just been in the same cycle. Your habits, yeah, where you are is because of you repeat the same actions. Week after week two, week three, you fall off. It's because you have a poor self-image. However, I've done sports psychology. If you change this mantra, how you talk to yourself, guys, your thoughts, you will be you will change this. You will get to the condition like this 10% veiny. Yeah, because physique transformation requires a new identity because that then becomes your lifestyle. It's not you get to 10% and then you get fat again. unless you've made the conscious decision, guys, because of your self image. So like a phrase like your dick doesn't get hard for no reason, innit? You have to cognitively think about it. Yeah, you're with the girl, you're thinking, oh yeah, okay, cool. I'm gonna get something. Like, oh my gosh, you don't get hard for no reason. It's because it starts there, guys. You've got a brain. Yeah, so this emphasizes the importance of reframing your negative thoughts to positive thoughts, and it starts with saying, no, I am a person that's in shape now. Guys, I haven't made it with online coaching. Like, it's only since last week Monday where I was like, I'm gonna start posting. I started seriously halfway through at the start when I was doing uni, my last year of uni last year, guys. That okay, cool. August time, I'm gonna start getting results, and I have 13. I've gotten 13 results, yeah, just under a year during university, guys. Where I'm studying for a 2-1 degree, which I got. So now I'm full time. So imagine what I can actually do. So I'm gonna live the dreams. You know, and that's because of action. Like I'm confident. Like I'm already in elite shape. I'm confident that I've already achieved 50 or 100 transformations. I've already achieved financial freedom. Yeah, because I have changed my thoughts. Be fucking optimistic. Yeah, and we're actually going to talk about how you can set these goals so you're not just talking the talk for the sake of it. But I want you to understand that your mind is your most powerful weapon. Tap into that. Yeah, so make sure what you say to yourself, you keep your word. So how to make sure you keep your word is you want to set some goals, and this is what I've done. So you can ask yourself, like, where do you want your ideal life in 5 years time for the following areas. So three main things: health, career, social. So I'm not gonna disclose mine, but like, let's say examples, you could be like, okay, I want to get to 10% body fat by the end of the year, you know, or you want to be 10, you want to hold 10 to 12% body fat at 27 years old or 30 years old, however old you're going to be in the next 5 years. Same with career, it might be that promotion, you want to be the team manager, etc. Social, you might have relationships, you want a good girl that's not a fucking hoe, like that. No, but it's got the qualities that will get the real you out of you, and to help level up your life. Or family, you want to spend more family time, what it is, or a kid. So set those 5 years, yeah, set those goals. And then what you also want to do is write your short-term desires. So these are the short-term desires that will stop you from getting to those goals in 5 years time. For example, let's say the one we mentioned, 10 to 12% body fat in 5 years time. The greatest thing that will stop you is you know this may be your snacking. This may be your fucking inconsistency. This may be your ability to keep going when things are hard. You're in week 8 and then you just stop. One, because you feel like you're skinny, which you're not. It's just flat, lack of glycogen and muscle. And two, you're just a bitch. So you need to really write these down, think, okay, cool, how can I avoid these short-term desires physically? You know, and most of them is just your emotions. Like, stop being a pussy. You know, at the end of the day, you have to align. Every time it gets hard, think of your long-term vision. Like, you have to do this. There's no plan B. If you want to elevate your life, it starts with Physique Foundation. You're watching this video, hopefully, for however long, because you're very genuinely interested in, okay, cool, I want to get in the best shape, elite level shape for my future, so I'm a role model for my kids, so I can just act more confidently, more purposefully. Because right now I'm not maximizing your full potential, are you? So, you know, get a pen and paper, pause this video, write it out if you're serious, or on your iPhone, before I show you the rest. You know, make sure these goals are smart. You know, because you don't want to write a goal for the sake of writing goals. You want it to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. So specific, make sure, you know, you're getting to 10 to 12% body fat. You know the kilogram of weight you need to get to, which again, I'm going to talk about the formulas, what target scale weight you need to do, but you want to be very, very accurate. You know, make sure you can measure this, the timeline. But so in 16, 20, that might be 24 or 6 weeks time, you will know. Achievable, like it can't be, you know, something that's not very realistic. Like, you're not saying, oh, I want to get to 10% body fat in 2 weeks time. You can't. Nah, guys, you can't. You know, physically impossible. Or something mad. But make sure it's, you know, you want to be optimistic as well. So, you know that saying, if you reach for the stars, you'll reach the moon or whatever. And then it needs to be relevant to your time. Like, are you primed in your most environment? Is it the most effective time? Is it most effective? Like, would getting in elite shape be the greatest impact on your life right now? You know? And timely. So make sure again it's in a certain time period. Don't just say, yeah, I just wanna get in shape. That's very bland. There's no timeline, there's no accuracy, there's no deadlines. Guys, you want deadlines, because if you have deadlines like for assignment, you're more likely to get shit done. Yeah, because every day is gotta be the rank for success, the rank to put in the work. It's not an off day, guys. Yeah. So, you know, you could also ask yourself, why do you want to do this? What's your deeper why? What help do you need? Whether, you know, you need to search on YouTube, watch this video so you can understand the physiology of your body type, the actual little tactics to make sure you can continue to lose fat even though the scale's not dropping, or you need to invest in a coach, you know. And then just make your plan of action. So again, when people come to me, we set like a 2.0 daily process where they'll write at each hour of the day what they're doing. So you should create one. Well, you need to, so you can understand of your timeline, you know, every day, so you don't get caught out like for a social meal or a social event or a wedding or a trip like this guy Pakistan. We knew it straight away, 8th of November. So he told me, so he was prepared. So you're prepared, guys. And then most importantly, you just got to visualize that you're already 10%. Remember, we're going back to that self-image, you know, and you will become more confident, and you will more likely shift your identity to that person that's 10% body fat when you're thinking about this, when you sleep it, when you're doing your cardio and you're thinking, yeah, I'm crispy abs already, man. You know, I'm telling you, visualization's key, guys. You know, like, it's a practicing athletes for them to perform better in sport, because if they visualize doing the same skill setup, they're more likely to do it. Like, the power of the mind is, you know, very beautiful. So, you know, you have to understand that there's certain people will hold them back as well, in terms of like person A, you will set so many goals. Like, just have one goal, one couple goals, and fitness and career goes hand in hand, guys. You know, so hone on the two. Don't distract yourself with lots. Oh, I'm gonna start reading. I'm gonna start to learn a new language. Just bro, fuck off. That will start at a new time. Right now, let's get you into elite level shape. So that's the little mindset. Again, every video I'll talk about different concepts. You know, like how to actually change your self-image in depth. How to actually have discipline. But yeah, guys. So change your self-image, and you can do that via goal setting, and then make sure you have your daily process to actually get to the result like this. So let's talk about the setup. Now, the setup, it took about 12-13 weeks, and you will get your starter weight. So you want to weigh yourself 7 to 8.1 kg and estimate your body fat percentage. Now, we do this with a physique chart. And you want to be very, very harsh. As you can see, he had a skinny, fat build, right? Not a lot of muscle. He was a bit soft, you know, chubby. So therefore, we wanted to be conservative. So he definitely wasn't 15. He definitely wasn't 25. You could say 19, yeah. But I like to be conservative and just plus 2% to that number. So in the end, I went with like 22 because remember you want to look at your front, side, and back. So I said 22%, which I think was actually true. Since we had to put off about 12, 13, 12 kg in the end. And then you will get your goal weight, which is 66 kg at 10%. And how to get your target goal weight is basically you'll get your lean body mass and then plus 10%. Again, I've done formulas on how to get your lean body mass, but what you'll do, you'll just get, obviously, to get the target scale weight, you'll get your lean body mass plus 10%. Here's the little formula. So you just get your current weight, and we did it like his. So you do 78 times 1 times 0.22 in brackets first, and that will give the number, and then you'll just subtract it. So just apply the formula, you get that number, and then you plus 10%. And the goal weight was about 67. But then in the end, you have to adjust in it because we wanted them true 10%. We had to lose another kilo, so that's why we added another week, 13 weeks. But then you just subtract the number from the goal weight, and that will tell you like how long it will take because you're aiming to lose a kilo a week. So very, very simple maths, guys. You know, in terms of the food, we placed them on 2,373 calories. And now, because if you have a physique like this, it's skinny fat, remember? So you don't have a lot of muscle, but you've got a lot of fat. So therefore, if we diet you down too aggressively, like we go in a deep, deep deficit, you'll just end up skinny, you know, because like the muscle, you won't build any muscle during the 12 weeks, guys. It's possible to build muscle during 12 weeks, you know, you will just end up really skinny. Gym flow performance will be shit because you're on low food. So therefore, just sit yourself 200 calories below your maintenance. Rough rule of thumb, guys. You know, and then you can assign yourself 20 minutes of cardio, non-impact machines like incline treadmill, bike, elliptical, make sure your heart rate is 120 to 130, and then you want to do 10k steps and a 4-day training split. So we did full body push, full body pull, which I'll show you as well. So yeah, again, I'm gonna make videos in depth like how to fit skinny fit, but the rough rule of thumb is, guys, you must get lean. So we do this via a body recomposition, and so that's why it's very important to keep food high as long as possible. As you know, we had the trip to Pakistan, so we wanted to bear that in mind as well. So, and massively, we still made progress. So in terms of the changes, what we did is, you know, we wanted to lose about 0.7 to 1 kg per week. So therefore, guys, you need a track all data. We used the app and he tracked his nutrition, what he ate every day. It was the same meal, so literally he was just taking it off. He was tracking his morning weight every day in the same time, not in the gym, not in the evening. He was tracking the hours he slept, the how much steps he did, the cardio. The rule is the more data you have, the better the decision you can do to know if things are working. Because what you want to do is you look at the data. Did you drop? If you dropped a kilo, no changes, and that's why for 3 weeks we didn't need to make a change. And then when the weight starts to dip, so it doesn't start to meet the rate, let's say you lose 0.4 kg, then you can make a first change one at a time, and we increased it by 30 minutes. And then again, you reassess, okay, cool, 30 minutes wasn't enough because he still dropped 0.5 kg, which is good, but we wanted 0.7. So we lowered food, 200 calories. Now, what I recommend is you always want to increase cardio if you have the time. But obviously, he was a busy man, so we had to make one change at a time so it can be efficient. Yeah. So again, week 5, we removed 200 calories, and when you do this, you want to do this in the forms of fats, because it holds the most calories and it's ideally away from your workout. So like the dark chocolate in the yogurt bowl that I give my clients at the end of the day, you know. Week 6, no changes. Week 7, we made another change on food. Again, he was busy because he was just already doing steps. I think he worked an office job, so he didn't really have the time to do a lot of cardio. You know, again, I think that was in the form of fats as well. And then week 8, we wrapped up the cardio, 40 minutes, 90, 50 minutes as well. I think about week 9, week 10, this is when he went to Pakistan. So in Pakistan, how we did to make sure he kept on dropping is we just literally gave him more steps to do. Like he had the house, yeah. and a roof, he would just do steps on his roof. That's what he was saying. So look, if it's important to you guys, you will find a way. The gym was shit, but he still managed to get the workouts in, still managed to stick to the diet, even though we adjusted certain foods to the Pakistan foods. So guys, again, I'm going to talk about nutrition, what foods you should have. But if it's important to you, you will make the time for it. But as you know, because the closer he got to 10%, we had to ramp up the rate of loss in it. So week 11, we reduced 189 calories. And when fats are gone, you can remove calories and forms of carbohydrates away from your workout, so it doesn't affect your gym floor performance. And then week 12 and week 13, no changes, like everything worked. And we found that when you are 12 to 13% body fat, so 2 weeks, like week 11, we had to run 3 high carb days. What are high carb days? Well, this is when we increase the serving of carbohydrates because we need to restore muscle glycogen. You know, when you're on a cut, if you have been, and you feel skinny, you're not losing any muscle. It's because you're flat due to lack of carbohydrates. Remember, the longer you diet, the more you would deplete your carbohydrates, your glycogen stores. That's why you get the feeling I feel so lack of energy. That's why it hurts to walk, guys. You know, because your body is literally doing that on purpose to make sure you eat more. You know. So how we made him to stay adherent without him flatlining, because he was saying to me, "I'm voice, I'm flatlining, I'm drained, I'm mentally, physically drained." We ran 3 high carb days, and you can do that every 10 days because that's how long the muscle glycogen will last before it depletes again. You know, so only doing this when you're around 12, 13, 11% body fat, when you're near to sub 10, guys. You know, so how you doing this? You just get your scale weight, and when you first do it, you want to times it by 7 to be very conservative, because how you know if you did it correctly is because the next morning weight, it will be less than 0.5 kg gain, or it might just be the same. If it's the same, perfect. But that means when you next do your refeed, you can increase it by 1, so you could times it by 8, and then vice versa. But if you overspilled, let's say you did it by 7 and you gained 1 kg, obviously that's not body fat, it's water weight, and that will have an effect on the abs. It will look a bit watery, but that's when you can lower and go times 6, as you know. You know, but as you can see, the high carb days, we got them very, very vascular, like veins on abs. So that's clear 10%. And your serratus and terra was pretty showing. It was really decent, you know, as you can see in the photos, of course, you know, love handles gone. So we can definitely say this is elite level condition. Well done. But yeah, those are the changes. In terms of the actual split training and nutrition, I'll show you one form clip of how you're meant to be training now. If you don't have a lot of muscle, yeah, you need to fucking listen to me. You want to build muscle. You want to maximize mechanical tension, damaging your muscle, damage the working muscle you're trying to do, right? So therefore, if we want to maximize our training intensity, I would actually recommend, unless you are a beginner, so you've been training less than about 15 months, guys, you want to do 1 top set, 2 backup sets. So 1 top set 6 to 10, and then 2 backup sets 12 to 15, because this will psychologically change your view in terms of training hard, because you got 1 set, let's say on a flat dumbbell press, to send it. Oh, okay, you looked at your logbook, you did 6 reps, now you need to get 7 reps. You're more likely to do that rather than if I said 3 straight sets, 1 top set, 6 saying hard. You're gonna conserve your energy, right? You are, you know. So therefore, this is why the 2 backup sets, high rep range 12 to 15, but we decrease the load by 20%, you're more likely to distribute your training intensity a lot more efficiently. So that can be with compound exercises and then isolation exercises. So your barbell, your bicep curls, your tricep push down, etc. can be 1 top set 12 to 15, 2 backup sets 15 to 20. As with most isolation exercises, you know, you can get away with higher rep ranges, and most of the time you need higher rep ranges to actually stimulate that fatigue. Whereas compound exercises like your bench press, your squat, you know, small rep ranges, you hit failure a lot more quicker. So you need to make sure your tempo, range of motion, and intensity is spot on. So I'm going to show you another form video, but tempo is basically how fast you're lifting it. How fast are you lifting the weight, specifically on the eccentric phase, on the way down? You want to control the weight. Don't let the weight control you, so you can actually maximize that mechanical tension, pulling, stretching, and contracting that muscle fiber apart. So this is why it's very good to just slow it down. Don't do it really slow. Just slow it down, pause, and then drive. So range of motion is good because you want to go as deep as possible. You know, for example, on your flat dumbbell press, it's good to get your elbows as far back as possible, stretch that muscle apart, which is your pec, you know, because it originates on the sternum and inserts onto your upper arm. So therefore the function is horizontal abduction, bringing your arm to the midline of your body or away as far back as possible. So we can stretch that muscle, right? More stretch equals more tension equals more gains. And then lastly is intensity. Your last rep on the way up should take 3 to 5 seconds. Now let's look at a video of how I train in a gym. Now we're doing the leg extension. So again, with my clients, I educate them what function of the muscle, what function of the exercise is it targeting, what muscle is it targeting, and how can we target this muscle so we can do the exercise correctly. So again, the function of the leg extension is knee extension. We're working out quads, that's the muscle, you know. So the origin and insertion, the origin of the quad has four origins, but let's say it's the thigh bone, which is the thigh, and then it inserts on just below your patella, the shin. So therefore, you want to bring your origin and insertion together and back. So I would tell my clients, well, if that's the case, you want to straighten your knee. If you straighten your knee, you will squeeze your quads. That's what you're doing. Or squeeze your quads, straighten your knee first, and bring your toes up. And then look at the tempo. I'm range of motion. I'm going all the way down, and I'm squeezing. Look, your muscle here is in the contracted position where it's the most hardest. So therefore, if it's the most hardest, it's gonna give the most mechanical tension because you're feeling it, right? So wouldn't it be a good tactic to have a pause so you can control it, so we maximize that mechanical tension? Come slowing in the way down and then lift with your shin, just straighten your knee, toes up, and make sure your pelvis, your hip is not falling off the seat. It's tucked in, you're gripping the hands tightly, and you're fucking sending it. Look at my face. This is the correct level of intensity. Most people don't like leg day. Why? Because one, it's mentally exhausting because like, oh, I've got to do legs. And two, it physically hurts. I want you to have the same level of pain every time you finish a rep. So yeah, if you was on a 4 day split, you could do something like this. Again, one top set, two backup sets, and then and then a full body pull, and then repeat that twice in a week. Now with nutrition, very very simple. But I will talk about what you want to eat, and that's single ingredient, minimal processed foods. Like most of you eat garbage and then you feel like garbage, and then gym floor performance is shit, and then energy levels to the whole adherence to the whole diet is shit. Yeah, because you're not getting the right level of nutrients, protein, macros, fats that your body needs. You know, that protein really just hit lean body mass times 2.4. That's the amount of grams in protein. Like, you don't need that much protein, guys. You know, protein is very important for building muscle and recovery, but guess what? How do you train? How do you build muscle? Well, it's through protein, but it's through training, right? You have to damage the muscle. So how can we improve your training? More food via carbs. The greatest source, glycogen. Yeah. So carbohydrates for the rest of that macros, and fats for men can be 20%, for women 30%. And then understand, like, you know, whenever you had tasty foods, you wanted more of it, right? So this is why sticking to whole foods will help you stay adherent to the whole thing, because you won't want more of it. Because one, you actually feel satisfied for once because it's real food, and two, it's, you know, it's actually something you can stick to every day, and it's very easy to just buy and meal prep. For example, protein can be good sources like chicken breast, tuna, salmon, steak, whitefish, eggs, yogurt, beef mince. As you know, there's a difference. There's fattier source of protein like salmon, steak, eggs. They've got fattier sources. And then lean sources, like depending on the percentage level of beef mince, like 5%, chicken breast, tuna. Those are pretty lean, which means obviously you just get more of it at a lower cost of calories and more protein. But the gold standard, I would say, is chicken breast, tuna, even turkey breast, guys. Eggs are very good as well. Carbohydrates, rice, oats, potatoes, pasta, fruit. Fruits, remember, there's different carbohydrates, like fast digesting carbs, slower digesting carbs. So again, you want to prioritize fast digesting carbs, like your fruit, your cereals, your breads, before your workout, 30 minutes before. And then away from your workout, when you want to feel a bit more full, satiated, you can have your oats, or potatoes, you know, because this will digest nice and slowly. Rice, nice is like middle of the GI scale, which is like the glycemic index, how fast carbohydrates digest. So again, just pick your favorite foods and eat it every day. You know, so fats, dark chocolate, avocado, peanut butter, pistachios, oils. Like stick to a meal plan. For example, I give my clients their first meal is breakfast, so oats with eggs and berries. So oats with berries and eggs. That's a high carb, high fat meal. That's the equivalent of having steak and eggs because again, it's high in protein. Will digest nice and slowly because protein digest the ferment effect of food very slow, as well as um, fat slows down digestion, you know. So just stick to a meal plan. Don't change your foods because you're just gonna make it yourself harder. And yeah, like your favorite is something that you can stick to. Only you will know that, you know. So yeah, nutrition very simple. But that's everything we did to get the result. Honestly, guys, I hope that was simple, and I explained that very to a simple point that you understood. So like if you need my help to do this, to get you elite level condition like this, just book a call, link in the description, and we'll set you up.